Welcome to the 2022 Neighborhood Mini Grant Program Overview. This training program is designed to provide you with tips and insights to help your neighborhood organization submit a competitive and complete application. For those of you who have submitted mini grant applications in the past, welcome back. For those of you who will be submitting your first mini grant application, welcome. There are online instructional resources to help support you throughout the process. We strongly recommend that you review these resource materials on our website before you begin to fill out your application. Missing any part of the application will cause it to be ineligible for funding. Examples of errors that will make your application ineligible include incomplete information, failing to attach required documents applicable to your project, and submitting information in a different way than we've instructed. Now let's get going with some tips that will help make this process easy for you and will help you fill out a competitive and complete application. Tip number 1, note the timeline and important dates, which are listed in the program guide. These dates are non-negotiable, so it's important for your neighborhood organization to meet these deadlines. Most notably, the deadline for your application submittal is Friday, December 17th, 2021 by 5 p.m. Tip number 2, read the resource materials we've made available to you. Our website lists the neighborhood mini grant eligibility requirements, key dates, the maximum grant amount of $5,000, and explains how to submit your application. The full 2022 Neighborhood Mini Grant Program Guide includes everything you need to know about the application process and grant requirements. A few key components of the 2022 Mini Grant Program include your budget worksheet, volunteer form, and the judging criteria. Let's look at those now. Your budget worksheet identifies everything that contributes to the total value of your project. It's important that you itemize the components you are requesting to be paid through mini grant funds and those that will be covered by funding sources, so we can fully understand your funding request. It's imperative that you fill out this worksheet correctly and submit it with your application. The mini grant program's purpose is to bring your community together, so neighborhood volunteerism is a foundational component of your project's success. Volunteer participation is required, and the volunteer form must be submitted with your application. Please take note of volunteer hours and participation requirements in the guidelines. Volunteer hours can be counted as an in-kind resource for your project budget. Full details about volunteer hours and participation requirements are listed for you in the program guide. The judging criteria outlines how your application will be judged by the review committee. Here's your chance to really paint a picture for the judges. Tip number 3, do your homework. It's important you understand what, if any, pre-submittal information is required for your project. Will your project need a permit? Will you need estimates and quotes? Always refer to the program guidelines for more details. If applying for a sign or message board, a pre-submittal meeting is required with Kim King, Hillsborough County Development Services. Please contact Ms. King at 813-276-8490 or kingk at hcflgov.net. A letter of approval must be submitted with the application. Tip number 4, be budget wise. Build your budget taking into account every aspect of your project. For example, if you are purchasing a bench, be sure to include shipping and other applicable charges. Use the full price of the item for your budget submission, not a sale price you may not be able to find later. Don't forget to include permit fees if applicable. And remember, the county will only reimburse for taxes if we are reimbursing you, not if you ask us to pay for the item on your behalf. Don't include items that are not eligible for mini grant funding in the mini grant column. A list of items that are not eligible is available in the 2022 Neighborhood Mini Grant Program Guide. Tip number 5, be creative and inspire our review committee. Let our grant categories encourage you to think about different and innovative ways you can create your community legacy and tell your neighborhood story. Technology today makes it easy to research similar grant program projects that have made neighborhoods great. Tip number 6, partner up. We are challenging our neighborhoods to think bigger than their backyard. If your project can leverage other community partners to obtain items our grant will not fund, go for it. Is there a neighborhood business, corporate partner, or other grants that might be a good fit for your project? If you are not sure, please don't hesitate to reach out to your neighborhood relations team for guidance. And don't forget, if you are in the unincorporated area of Hillsborough County, you may also be eligible for grants mentioned on our webpage to help supplement your project, like the tree grant and low volume irrigation grant based on available funds. If your neighborhood is awarded a mini grant, here are some things you will need to know. Let the work begin. A letter of understanding must be signed before any purchases take place. A letter of understanding must be signed by Friday, February 11th, 2022 by 5 p.m. Once you have signed your letter of understanding, you may proceed with your project. You will be required to file a midterm report by April 1st, 2022 by 5 p.m. And a final report will need to be submitted by Friday, July 29th, 2022 by 5 p.m. All deadlines are non-negotiable. Resource materials will be made available to grant recipients to review these items in more detail. Your neighborhood relations team is here to help. If you have any questions, it's important that you contact Neighborhood Relations prior to submitting your application. Once your application packet is submitted, you will receive a confirmation email. But we will not be looking at any individual applications for completeness or eligibility before the submittal deadline. Your neighborhood liaison is always available to help support you throughout the mini grant process. We can be reached by email or call your neighborhood liaison listed here. This concludes our 2022 Neighborhood Mini Grant Program overview. Thank you for your time and interest. We appreciate all that you do to help strengthen your neighborhood and the community it serves.